All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible and tragic stories in all of history. This is the story of Baldwin IV. He was a king who had to become a legend as a teenager, fighting two wars at once. One against the great Sultan Saladin, and another, much more personal war, against the disease that was literally eating him alive.
So that's the big question, right? How on earth did a teenager suffering from an incurable disease manage to hand one of the greatest military commanders in history a humiliating defeat? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but I promise you, this really happened, and it was a huge turning point in the Crusades.
To really get a handle on Baldwin the Warrior, we actually have to go all the way back to when he was just a kid. Because a discovery made during a childhood game would end up defining not only his life, but the fate of an entire kingdom. You have to understand, leprosy in the 12th century, man, it wasn't just a disease. It was seen as a sign that God himself had condemned you. It was a social death sentence. You weren't just sick, you were an outcast, doomed to a slow death, totally isolated from everyone you knew and loved. And the way they found out, it's just heartbreaking. He was 9 years old, playing with friends, when his tutor noticed something odd. He saw that the young prince didn't react at all when the other boys would pinch or dig their fingernails into his right arm. He felt no pain. And in that moment they knew, their worst fears were real. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's an absolutely breakneck pace. At 9, he gets this devastating diagnosis. By 13, his father's dead, and suddenly he's the king. And by 16, he's not just some kid with a crown. He is in full command. The entire weight of the kingdom of Jerusalem is on his shoulders. Okay, so he's got the crown, he's sick, what does he do? Does he hide away, try to manage his illness? Nope. He immediately goes on the attack against one of the most powerful men in the world, Saladin. You'd think the smart move would be to lie low, right? Maybe keep the peace. But Baldwin, he did the exact opposite. He completely rejected the truce that his regent had made with Saladin and started launching his own daring raids. He was even planning a massive invasion of Egypt itself. Total audacity. And this is where things get really crazy. Look at this matchup. It's a complete David and Goliath situation. Saladin sees this aggressive kid king as an opportunity. He brings his enormous, veteran army to crush him, thinking it's going to be an easy win. You've got a massive force versus a tiny army led by a sick 16-year-old. But Saladin was so wrong. What happened next at the Battle of Montgisard was nothing short of a military miracle. Baldwin, just 16, led a desperate charge that completely shattered Saladin's army. The great sultan himself barely escaped with